And as much as I respect and admire Jeff Nippard, I'm not going to do it. Do you want to know why? Because I don't want to. Simon Miller, the bald a-hole here, and I always get excited about these videos because the push-pull leg split is my favorite split, it's my favorite workout. I think it works for anybody, no matter what their goals are. And a couple of weeks ago, or months ago, I should say, we did Athlete X's one. He came out with the perfect push-pull leg split, I think he called it. And now Jeff Nippard, another YouTuber who I also think is smashing it and killing the game, has come out with his The Smartish Push-Pulls Legs Routine 2021. So I thought, when I went through Athlete X's, we got to make sure balance is returned to the force. Let's go through Jeff's and see what's different and what's good and what's bad and all that kind of hubbaloo. But hopefully, just in case you miss his video, he'll be able to teach you things you can do and then you'll get big and jacked. And let's face it, that's all any of us want, is to embark information onto you, not embark, pass information onto you so you can embark on your quest in the fitness palace of love. And if you can believe it too, this video is indeed sponsored by Manscaped.com, the premier brand for grooming and, shaving men's bits and other areas. But also, coming up very soon is Father's Day. And if you want to get old Daddy Do a great present, you could, you can get him something to take care of his balls, but that'd be a little weird, so don't do that. But instead, use this, the Weed Whacker. Now, the Weed Whacker comes with skin-safe technology, which means it's not going to hurt you. And I don't know about you too, but if you ever try to trim your nose or your ear hair, it can actually be really hard. My girlfriend goes on about all the times, like, your nose looks disgusting. I'm like, my nose looks great, but look, we'll just turn it on, makes a satisfying noise. Sounds really good. And you can just put it up there like this, and now we're literally watching me get rid of my nose hair, or you can get rid of your ear hair too. Who knew we'd ever be this close? The Weed Whacker is also water resistant, so if your dad does want to chuck it in the sink and cover it in water, well, it's going to be fine, but your dad's also a little bit weird. And look how easy it is to charge as well. You just get the charger, you put it in the bottom, and you plug the USB into whatever USB device you want. And also, of course, if you go to manscaped.com right now and use the code Simon20, not only do you get 20% off, but you get free international shipping. So make sure you do it that right now. Make sure your dad has the best day of his life and has a face that his mum will look at, not his mum, his wife will look at, whoever, his partner, and go, my word, you look great. Manscaped.com.
Adapting many of these workouts from my upcoming Power Building 2.0 program, which I'm aiming to release at the end of the summer or early fall. And that program is going to alternate between full body weeks, which are more strength focused, and similar push-pull legs weeks to the one here, which are more hypertrophy focused.
So that's interesting straight away. He said he's going to come out with a bigger plan towards the end of the summer. And if you look here, you've got a 10-week program where you're going to be doing full body stuff 1 week to focus on strength, and the following week you'll focus on push-pull legs, which of course be more of an isolation thing. Now, as far as I know, his full body thing isn't out yet, and I'm not sure I've seen any kind of information about it, but make sure you keep that in mind when we do go through this in case you want to try the plan he's going to put out there.
All right, so let's get started with the first quad-focused leg day. So after a quick 3 to 4 minute warm-up using a few of my favorite dynamic stretches, I'll jump into a pyramid warm-up that looks something like this if you want to pause and read.
I love this stuff. I told you I did. It's good already. 1, he told you it's a quad-focused leg day, so straight away, before you go in the damn place, you're okay, I need to think about my quads. Quads are everything. Quads are now your wife, your husband, your partner, whatever. But also, he showed you some of his dynamic stretching warm-ups. We've talked about stretching on this channel time and time again, and he's even got you a pyramid warm-up there, so you know exactly what you need to do, because people don't warm up enough, and I totally get it. We've only got a short amount of time we're able to dedicate when we go to the gym, and you just want to get to the heavy lifting. But that's not going to give you any longevity. You're going to put way too much force on your joints or stress on your body when it's not ready to. It's like sex, right? Let's just compare it to that. You don't just go straight in, there's a bit of kissing, there's a bit of touching, and then when you're ready, kapow.
For the squat, we're doing 3 sets of 4 reps at 80% 1 rep max, which comes out to 385 pounds for me. Now, these sets aren't supposed to be super challenging, especially in week 1.
So we're starting off with squats, and I know it sounds ridiculous, but that's an obvious exercise to throw in there, but that's good. I don't think you have to do squats if you don't want to do squats. You should do squats because they're massively important, but anybody like this that is trying to not even sell you a routine, but give you a routine, if they don't mention squats in any capacity, even if to say, oh, I don't do them because my knees hurt or blah, 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 or my hips, usually a hip thing, then they probably don't know what they're talking about. Jeff Nippard does. You're starting with squats. He talked about what reps you want to hit. He talked about, I think it's 85 or 80% max. It's right there. Get your calculator out, figure it out. So far, it's getting the thumbs.
Now, one thing I want to quickly comment on. Lately, every time I post a squat video, I get asked about why I drive my knees out on the way up, whether that's safe and whether or not you should be doing it. So the reason I do this is to simply get my hips closer to the bar.
It's even giving you form advice. Because honestly, you can't put a squat video on the internet. He's been quite nice there, but I bet the comments like, Jeff, you stupid boy, I don't know what you're talking about. The dude knows.
Okay, up next, 3 sets of 10 reps on the Romanian deadlift. and you definitely don't want to load these too heavy in week 1, as they can cause an insane amount of muscle damage.
So moving on to Romanian deadlift, 3 sets of 10 reps. I mean, he says a quad focus exercise. I mean, Romanian deadlifts mostly are going to hit your hamstrings. But again, just saying something is focused doesn't mean you're not going to work other muscle groups. He's going to go on to say, hopefully I remember to put it in the video, that you don't want to go too crazy because, again, you can hurt yourself. Be smart with this stuff. You can always build up to heavier weights, but if you start heavy and injure yourself, you're going to find yourself back at round 1.
Then we're doing 3 sets of 15 for each leg on the unilateral leg press. And this is the first exercise where we're really ramping the effort up.
Single leg press, 3 sets, 15 reps. I'll stop saying that because you'll be able to see it on the screen. But with leg press, what most people like to do is load up and go, oh, and some people will just do it instead of squats, trying to think it's the same thing when it's not at all. I don't do enough single leg press, to be honest. Sometimes I think about it and then I forget. It's obviously easier. I think he had an actual machine where you have the individual plates. I don't have that in my gym. It's just one big plate, but you can still do it. You just need to readjust where your feet are. But that's just something you can do as well. Even if you are into a routine of doing 2-legged leg presses, make sure every now and then you do single leg presses, because what usually happens is you are giving 100% of your dedication to that leg. Because even when you're doing 2 legs, sometimes you don't actually realize maybe you're pushing more with your right, pushing more with your left. That's just what human beings do. We're idiots.
RPE of 8, maybe 9 for me. And this is important because with the squats and RDLs, we were leaving a nice few reps in the tank. So it's important to push the quads and glutes closer to failure on this one.
Talks about how this is the 3rd exercise and this is when we're starting to push closer to failure, which is also why you wanted to leave some reps in the tank when we were doing Romanian deadlifts and when we were doing squats, right? Working out, although it can be simple, like I'm just going to go in and bust it out if that works for you, if you want to kind of have more of a strategic plan, surprise, surprise, this is the way to do it. So far, he wrote the word smart in the title. It's because he's really smart.
Then we're moving on to 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps on the eccentric accentuated leg extension. So we're aiming for a 3 to 4 second lowering phase.
Notice how he's only doing 3 sets on most of these as well, because he's going to do 7 exercises, which is more than enough. Like, a lot of people think they have to do 4, 5 sets on different exercises. Well, not if you're doing a bunch though, right? Because it's all about the cumulative stress or the cumulative intensity you're putting your body under. And he also talked about that negative rep when you're coming back down. Make sure you hold it 3 to 4 seconds, especially on something like the leg extension. Because think about it, your legs go up and you really flex your quads, so the more you can kind of struggle as they're coming back down, the longer you're going to squeeze them, and you always want to squeeze that muscle no matter what exercise you're doing. Remember, squeeze at the top of the lift, but don't make that noise because you sound like a pig.
After that, we're doing 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps on the seated hamstring curl, and then on the last set, which I'll show here in fast motion, we're doing 10 reps to failure.
Marries that up with the hamstring curl as well. I think most people do kind of see those 2 exercises as a pair, which makes perfect sense. And on the last set, he's going to failure. So he's kind of treating this like a roller coaster. He's going up and up and up and then down. Oh my gosh, here we go. Intensity. Already. Even if you just did this, we're only on what? Exercise 4. Even if you just did this, I bet it would be more intense and smarter, there's that word again, than most people workouts that they're doing right now. Most people just go squats, leg press, do a little hamstring, and they leave because nobody actually likes working legs.
And I'm opting for the seated leg curl here because a new high-quality study from Mayo and colleagues found that seated leg curls cause significantly more hamstrings growth than lying leg curls.
I mean, how much are we learning here? I didn't know that there are studies that show the seated leg curl is better than the lying leg curl. So now I'm just going to do seated leg curls. Look how fickle and easily led I am.
Okay, up next, 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps on the standing calf raise. And because my left calf is slightly smaller, after each set, I take the weight off and do some additional myo reps for my left leg only.
Standing calf raise comes next. Again, this is all stuff I'm sure you're aware of, but he's talking about his foibles as well. His left calf isn't as good as his right calf, so he does more work on his left calf. This goes back to Arnold Schwarzenegger. He used to say this stuff all the time. Look at yourself like a sculptor or a statue that somebody is sculpting, and if your left deltoid isn't as good as your right, your left arm isn't as good as your right, you can lift a little more on that side, or you can do things like this. It's okay to do that. There isn't like this perfect formula, if only there was.
And then we'll finish off the workout with some direct ab work. So I did a superset of plate-weighted decline crunches.
Finish it off with ab work too. Ab work, the dreaded ab work. So legs and abs, that's a horrible day. But look, there is actually, it doesn't tie in at all, I just thought about it now, but there's a bodybuilding pose, which is basically like, quads and abs. So why not marry them up? And also, I'm going to imagine, I haven't watched the whole video through yet, he probably does ab work to finish most of his sessions. It just makes sense. Nobody wants an ab dedicated day.
All right, so day 2 is a push day where we're focusing on the chest, delts, and triceps. And we're kicking off the workout with 3 sets of 8 reps at 72.5% of our 1 rep max on the bench press.
So we move on to the push day. He's doing bench press. I mean, you can essentially take what I said about squats and put it here. These are the compound exercises you want to be doing. He's doing the same kind of thing. He's only doing 3 sets. I think he said 72.5% of his 1 rep max. So again, he's not pushing it because he's going to build. I think you've got this down by now.
Okay, after that, we're moving on to 3 sets of 12 on a machine shoulder press, and I'm opting for a machine variation here because when taking a power building approach, all the heavy free weight movements can take a toll on the joints and the smaller stabilizer muscles.
Now, this is interesting because he's doing a push day, of course, and what some people like to do is you'll do chest, then you'll do shoulders, then you'll do triceps, or you can alternate between the two. Now, alternating actually makes a lot more sense in many ways. If you do the bench press and then move on to the machine shoulder press, he's doing 3 sets again, you're kind of giving your chest time to recover, right? It makes perfect sense. So if you do, I'm just making it up, a bench press, flies, incline press, and then you do shoulder press, lateral raises, whatever else you want to do, and you do them back to back, I guess you could suppose maybe there's a benefit to it because you're going to be fatiguing your muscles, which are also good. But when you kind of do it like a tennis match, you are allowing yourself more time to recover. So when you get to your next chest exercise, you've given it more time, but you're still working it. I advocate for both. Give it a go, see which one you like. Remember, if you enjoy it and you're doing it safely, it's probably the most important thing.
And the idea here is to make up for any so-called range of motion deficit from the powerlifting style bench press technique. So with the dip, I'm getting a big stretch on the pecs at the bottom.
Moving on to dips. Dips are always good because you're in a push day because you're mostly working all your muscles that you would work in a push day. And he talks about range of motion and making sure you get that stretch because when he was bench pressing, he was not doing mini reps, but he's going for sort of strength over form. So you see, he's marrying all this stuff up. Also, make sure you do dips. Make sure you do pull-ups. Bodyweight exercises such as this are the best. I mean it. And if you ever find yourself trapped in a desert, I mean, you have to find something like a couple of cacti to do some dips on, but they're good anywhere at any time.
After that, we're hitting 3 sets of 8 to 10 on the eccentric accentuated skull crusher. So really disrupting the tricep fibers by using a 3-second controlled lowering phase.
Skull crushers are his first tricep exercise. They're just probably the best tricep exercise there is. It's like bench press for chest. It's like squats for legs. At least that's how I see skull crushers. Based on nothing, I just think they're that good at building mass.
Up next is the Egyptian cable lateral raise. However, unlike previous programs, we're using a myo-rep intensity technique for the last set only.
He's moving on to lateral raises after that. So again, we've gone back to shoulders. He's doing an Egyptian variation. Make sure you go check his video out if you want the specifics because, you know, it just makes more sense. He'll be able to explain it more to you. I already know this is brilliant. And I already know that I am going to bring some of it into my own routines. He's very, very smart. I keep saying I didn't even mean to that time.
And we're finishing off the workout with 2 high rep sets of 20 to 30 reps on the cable tricep kickback.
He finishes off with the tricep kickback. I don't massively like the tricep kickback. I don't know why. I just find every time I do incorporate into my program, maybe I'm just doing it wrong. Maybe I should take a leaf out of his book and give it a go in the way that he says. But again, don't be afraid to bring in your own things. I may do a tricep pull down there instead, although I'm sure when we get to round 2, he may talk about it. But there is no right or wrong. Like the exercises are there for a reason. Just make sure you're doing them right, blah, blah, boring.
So at first, 3 sets of 6 reps on the weighted pull-up. And of course, you may not need to load these depending on your body weight and strength level.
I love it. His first thing on pull day is pull-ups. Do pull-ups.
After that, we're doing 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps on the seated cable row, where I'm using the mag grip attachment because I find it a bit more comfortable on the wrists, but a neutral close grip attachment will work fine as well.
Moves on to cable rows after that, and he's using the mag grip. I'd never used a mag grip until I went to America and I gave it a go. A personal trainer I used to work with always used to sing their praises. I could not find them anywhere in England, at least no gym has them. The mag grip is so good. If you have the money and you can afford to buy one and just take it to the gym, I absolutely think you should do it. It just helps so much.
So after that, we're doing a lat isolation move with the constant tension kneeling cable pullover. And again, with the higher rep stuff, I'm counting each rep with a 1 second up, 1 second down tempo to avoid form from deteriorating and keeping the tension where it's supposed to be.
See, there's something new as well. The kneeling cable pullover, I think he called it. And he's starting to increase his reps here. He's doing 15 to 20. I've never tried that before. And there's every chance I go and experiment with it in the gym and think, hey, this isn't for me. But that just ties back into what we were saying a minute ago. There's other things you could do. You can do a single cable pullover or a sort of, you know, pull motion, that kind of a thing. You probably could just do barbell rows, although again, I think he's going to bring that in later.
Up next, we're going to do some hammer cheat curls. You'll notice that I'm doing a bit more swinging than usual, which allows me to handle heavier weights than if I were to stay perfectly upright.
Moves on to biceps, doing the hammer cheat curl. You'll always hear people go, you can't cheat when you do a bicep, you must be really, really strict. But if you do cheat a little bit, you can lift heavier weight. So once you have that form down, then you can kind of sort of experiment in between the two and think, well, what do I do today and what do I not want to do today? Cheating is not that bad as long as you're cheating for a purpose. Like if you cheat off somebody's mass paper and you get away with it, you're awesome.
To balance things out, we're hitting a strict incline dumbbell curl after.
Finishes with the incline dumbbell curl. Again, just another good way to do it. Actually, less exercises than I was expecting, but hopefully once more, this sends a message to you. You do need to go crazy. Like some people, especially on push day, like, Simon, how the hell am I going to fit in chest? How the hell am I going to fit in shoulders? How the hell am I going to fit in triceps? Don't remember, you're training this twice a week, essentially, or twice within this split. So you don't need to do like 5 exercises for chest, 5 exercises for triceps, and 5 exercises for shoulders, because you will be working, like when you work in shoulders, you'll be working triceps, working chest, you're working triceps, shoulders. So you are working them all kind of during every exercise, and of course that counts. Of course it does.
And this time we're focusing a little more on the posterior chain, so mainly the glutes and hamstrings, but we'll still be doing some quad work as well. So we're kicking the workout off with 3 sets of 3 reps using 80 to 85% 1 rep max.
Moving to leg day 2, he mentions that we're going to focus on the posterior chain, or the glutes and the hamstrings, but he is starting with a deadlift, which will make everybody go crazy, because the question we get all the time, should you work a deadlift with leg or should you work a deadlift with backs? I would say just get a deadlift in your program. If you think it's better on back day, awesome. If you think it's better on leg day, do it. This kind of just ties into what we were just talking about, right? As long as you're doing it, you're doing it. That's as far as it goes. Days, we just made up days. What even is a day? What's Monday? What does it even mean?
After that, we're doing 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps on the machine hack squat.
Hack squats follow this. Now, again, something I have a problem with is I don't have a hack squat machine in my gym. So what do you do instead? You could do regular squats. You could maybe sort of find a way to mimic them. Some people like to do it on a Smith machine. I don't really like doing that. I think you're just putting your body under way too much strain and you're more likely to injure yourself. But that's just one of those things where you have to obey the gym that you've got. You may have a machine that still works your legs, but not in a similar way. At least it's going to give you that variation. I think it's fine. Again, don't overthink it.
All right, after those, we're moving on to the unilateral hip thrust. Here we're focusing on squeezing each glute individually.
Hip thrusts, the maneuver or the exercise that no man does. Obviously not true because he's doing it. Because people go, and try and make it out like it's a feminine exercise, which makes no sense. It's really, really good, and it smashes your glutes. If you've never done it before, when you do go and do it, you'll be like, oh, flub me sideways, man. If you like the pump and you like that pain in your muscles when your body's shouting, what do you do? What do you do? Do hip thrust. I tell you, you will be amazed.
Then we're doing a superset of Nordic ham curls and prisoner back extensions.
He goes crazy here too. He's doing Nordic ham curls, which I've done a couple of times. Real important to get your form right on that one, which you will have seen. But he supersets that with what he's called prisoner back extensions. And I've always called them hyper extensions. I don't know if there is a massive difference. I'll make sure I check it out. But that is absolutely going to kick your ass. I know how bad they are if you just do them by themselves. So doing it back to back, again, you've got to really hammer your legs. Never forget that. Do not take your legs lightly.
Then we're doing 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps on the unilateral leg press calf raise.
Doing single left calf raises, again, that's not something I can do in my gym. It just doesn't have the relevant equipment. So I maybe do some seated calf raises, right? Or maybe I'll do something else. Maybe I'll just stand and just do a bunch of calf raises on a staircase. Work in what you can work in.
And then to round out the workout, we're finishing with some direct core work, this time doing the absolutely brutal weighted L sit hold.
Finishes off with abs, so he is actually keeping abs to his leg days, and he's doing weighted L sit holds. I've never done them, and as much as I respect and admire Jeff Nippard, I'm not going to do it. Do you want to know why? Because I don't want to.
And kicking things off with 4 sets of 4 reps on the overhead press at 80% 1 rep max.
So this is really interesting too. Second push day of the week. If you have seen the At the Next video, he started his second push day of the week with the overhead press. And what's Jeff Nippard doing? He started with the overhead press because it's good for your shoulders, it's good for overall strength. It's essentially a compound movement. There's no arguing now. You're not allowed to argue it. Those two dudes are too clever for you to try and come up with something else. I'm kidding, of course. You may have a very good reason for it, but still, do it.
Then we're moving on to 3 sets of 10 reps on the close grip bench press to an RPE of 7 to 8. And every time I show my close grip bench press, a bunch of people note that it just looks like their regular grip.
Really interesting that he's doing close grip bench press, because I had a discussion, slight row, not really, with someone the other day about what a close grip bench press is. Because some people come right in and they really focus on the triceps, as it would do, but it kind of puts your shoulders in a funny position. Whereas both Athlete Next Areas again and Jeff, as he just said, they just bring their hands in a little bit, because you're still going to be working your triceps and you're still going to be working your chest. If you were just doing a chest day, which I would never recommend, you probably wouldn't want to do it. But that's the beauty of doing something like push. It incorporates so many muscles all at once. You can get away with that, and in my opinion, it's a lot safer.
Up next, we're hitting some low to high cable crossovers to target the upper upper pecs a bit more.
Moving on to cable crossover. I mean, I don't need to explain any of this. These are just good things to do. Some people like to do sort of dumbbell flies on a bench. I think once more they put your shoulders in uncomfortable positions, so I'd much rather do this. I think you have more control. But if you are going to do dumbbell flies on a bench, maybe just start with lesser weight and build up, build up, build up.
Next, we're hitting some overhead tricep extensions, and the main thing you want to focus on here is keeping your elbow locked into position, getting a big stretch on the triceps at the bottom.
I love overhead tricep extensions, especially when you do them on a cable machine like that with a rope pull. They just work so well. Like getting it into the right position can be a bit tricky, so make sure you're careful with that. But once you've got it, make sure you really extend your triceps out. Give them that squeeze again. It will whoop you.
After that, we're doing 3 sets of dumbbell lateral raise 21s.
That's fascinating too. Lateral 21s. Like you may have heard it with biceps. Everyone does that, where you kind of do 7 half reps, 7 half reps, 7 whole reps. Whereas here, he's doing 7 full reps, then 7 half reps, and 7 quarter reps, we'll call it, for lack of a better term. I have never done that, but I'm always finding ways to try and circumvent and do something different with my laterals. There it is, on a free video on YouTube.
But regardless, we're kicking off the workout here with an Omni Grip lat pull down. So basically you do set 1 with a wide grip, then bring it into a moderate grip for set 2, so just outside shoulder width, and then use a reverse close grip for set 3.
There's something else I never thought to do, changing your grip as you're doing a lat pull down, because I think we fall too much into these routines, or we do what is expected of us given what gym stereotypes are. Trying these new things is always worthwhile. Like I've said it about 1,000 times, it may not work for you, but giving it a go, you may go, oh man, that's why I've been going on with lat pull downs. And then you'll be forever grateful to him.
After that, we're doing 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps on a chest-supported row.
Chest-supported row on a machine because he feels like he can get closer to failure. And I agree. I don't like barbell rows. I know, burn me, burn the witch. But I do struggle on those last few reps for one reason or another, to the point I feel like I have to lift less, even though my strength was probably up to par. It's just something that happens to me. Whereas if you do it on a machine version, it is easier to bust out those last few reps. And some people argue they're the most important ones.
Next up are some rope face pulls, where I'm targeting more of the rear delts and external rotators by pulling the rope slightly up and rotating my shoulders out.
So face pulls will forever be the exercise that people struggle with. I would watch his, I would watch Anthony Nex's, I would watch Greg Doucette's. I would just take in as much education as you can about them and experiment as best you can and start with a really light weight, because loads of people do them wrong and I understand why. But overall, just make sure you work your rear delt, the most ignored muscle on the entire body, and you're going to look weird if you don't, well, develop it.
Then we're doing a little more rear delt work because it is something that I think a lot of people seem to neglect.
Then goes on to say how important rear delts are, so I appreciate that, and talks about how he doesn't actually think you need to do any trap work unless you kind of feel like your traps are lagging. But I think everybody wants big traps, so I would always advocate for doing traps.
And then the final movement is a superset of easy bar pronated curls and easy bar supinated curls.
Finished off with easy bar curls, and he does 2 different variations with his hands. One, it's like that. He's gripping with his knuckles to the ceiling, and then he's going to turn it around with his palms to the ceiling. It's a really, really smart thing to do. Great way to finish off your biceps. I love any easy bar curl too, especially when you have that wide grip, because it absolutely smashes your biceps. Some people like to do it with a straight bar. It's not my personal thing, but again, you're still going to be working your bicep. I mean, of course it's really good. He's not going to put anything out there, and it's got like 461,000 views already after 3 days. He just knows what he's talking about. He always, brings science into the equation, so it's difficult to go, well, that sounds like a pile of baloney. It may not all be for you, but I would absolutely implore you, give it a go, and check out Jeff Nippard's channel. Really top stuff. Now, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Hit the bell, ding ding, so you know when other videos are going live. There's another video right there. Give it a click. Probably going to be the Athlete Next one, so you can compare the programs and push them together maybe and make your own super program. Patreon.com/Simon316. Get the Greg Doucette Power 13 cookbook. My recipes are in it. Hopefully help you be a bit more sustainable with your diet. Make sure you use the code Simon15 for 15% off. SimonMiller.BigCartel.com for merch. SimonMiller316 on Instagram and Twitter. Otherwise, you have a great day, and I will see you on the next one.